Welcome to Taking Care of Lady Business, where we put the business back in lady business. Hosted by Jennifer Justice, founder and CEO of the Justice Department, a management strategy and law firm that works with female and woke male entrepreneurs, executives, talent, brands, and creatives to build and maximize their wealth, focusing in the areas of tech, consumer product, finance, media, entertainment, and fashion. Jennifer interviews entrepreneurial women who have done it all, who will be sharing their secrets on all things business, especially as a woman. These highly successful women will share strategies and insights, including what not to do and what it takes to win. And now, here's your host, Jennifer Justice.
Hi, this is JJ, the host of this podcast, Taking Care of Lady Business. If you're here, you know my passion for making women rich. Did you know that men are 4 times more likely than women to negotiate their compensation packages? And that women are leaving about $1.5 million on the table by the time they're 60 by not negotiating? That's a lot of money, and I want it to stop. So I'm launching a course called Be the Boss of Your Career to show you how to get what you deserve. Our first live session is May 3rd, so go to www.thejusticedept.com to sign up for more information. I look forward to seeing you there and helping you get rich. Thanks to MedJet for supporting the Lady Business Podcast. If you're hospitalized or your security is threatened while traveling, they can get you home. I'm a MedJet member and have been for years. Everyone who travels should be. Enroll before your next trip at medjet.com. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Taking Care of Lady Business. I'm Jennifer Justice. Today, we have Joey Wolfer and Chili P. And if you're looking, you'll see who Chili P is. She is the Chief Brand Officer and co-owner of Wolfer Estate Vineyards in the Hamptons. I'm sure all of you have at least seen, if not drank, a few, if not more than a few, bottles of her Rosé and other wines, of course. Welcome, Joey and Chili P. Oh, Chili's
Now he's
bored.
gone. Here he is. Hi, everybody.
So my first interview with a dog as well. So great.
Yeah, don't ask him too many hard questions. He's not a genius.
So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And again, like it's so much fun to be working with a fellow wee sweeter. So thank you.
Well, that's for sure. Shout out to the Wee Suite. It's been a lot of you on here. I mean, I would love to dive right in. Wolfer Estate, if anybody has been to the Hamptons, drives by it at least a couple of times when they're out there, it's been around for a while. Can you tell us like the beginnings of it and how it came to be?
So my dad was the one who started it, and this was over 35 years ago. And he had this vision of having a winery in the Hamptons, and everyone laughed in his face. He always wanted to do it as a passion project. He had a job, or say a real job, but he had a job, and this is what he always wanted to do. And so he was a real visionary. And he, again, it was not like, wasn't the terrain. People like kind of were like, this is not ever, there are grapes in the North Fork. This isn't a South Fork thing, too close to the beach. But he defied everybody, and he started this vineyard and he started planning. And then about 32 years ago, he hired Roman Roth, who's our winemaker and partner, who has been working with us ever since. And they developed the first Rosé in 92. And again, everyone laughed at them. Obviously, this is a brief history, but everyone laughed at them again and said, this is gross. But people in Europe were drinking it by the boatloads. So,
Yeah.
They really stuck with it. And honestly, like, it's really what catapulted our business when Rosé became a thing with, along with Whispering Angel, we sort of had this article that was really turned our business into a whole new business, was when they had that article that said the Hamptons is dangerously close to running out of Rosé. And it was an article that was in the Post that went viral. Like, I mean, I had friends in England who were calling me saying, you're on the news saying that, you're dangerously close to running out of Rosé. And so it really that was sort of the beginning of our popularity in a big way. And that happened with the creation of Summer to Bottle, which was our kind of love child. When my brother Mark and I took over with my husband and our partner, Summer to Bottle was the first thing we came up with. And that's kind of been our story ever since.
What year was that? I remember that. We're gonna run
Summer in
a
a Bottle is celebrating 10 years this year.
yeah, that's
We are,
amazing.
that's amazing. Yeah.
Congrats. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. We started with 1,500 cases and now we're at 100,000.
And so did
So
you grow up out in the Hamptons?
I was in the city until I was about 9. And I said to my mother that I wanted diamonds in my ears. And she said, well, it's time to leave the city. So we literally moved like the next month to Long Island. And I went to Catholic school. And then I went to boarding school to Taft. And after that, Vanderbilt.
So when, look, obviously you're now running the business with your brother and other, your husband, et cetera.
Yeah.
But like, you don't have to do that, right? I mean, you're the first person I've had who is like a female taking over a business, to grow and really growing it and scaling it. Like,
Yeah.
what was that process? Were you like trying to do other things at
I
first or?
had to do it because I had like, my brother was like incredibly generous and lent me money to buy out my sister. And the business was making $0 when we took it over. And I had a job at the same time, but I had to make money. So I was like, we said to each other, this has to work as a legitimate business. Otherwise, it's not sustainable for me. I mean, I didn't have the money to keep going in my life. So I could keep up with my corporate career in fashion, which I truly wasn't built for, or I could, we really made a go of this. And I think a little bit like the naivety of it, like of sort of like our lack of experience in the industry, like actually kind of helped because it was
Right.
thing. We brought a really refreshing spin to it. And honestly, like we're still doing that. We're creating new products all the time. Some stick, some don't,
Yeah.
Spring in a Bottle, which is our non-alcoholic, which is also exploding, was my brother's love child. He started that he had this idea in COVID to come up with a non-alcoholic wine, and everybody was like, and it was happening in Europe, and again, not happening here. And that category has really exploded, and we're kind of growing that as rapidly as well. So since we've been involved, we've always tried new products, and I think that's really what kept us going and kept us on the forefront because 10 years of Summer in a Bottle and keeping it fresh has been really exciting.
And how do you guys divvy up your work, right? That's like one of the things to keep a business going. Like some people
Yeah.
have to be on the business side, some people are on the more marketing front end side. Like, how do you figure that
Well,
out?
that's been like the most important part, I think, of working with family is that we all have our roles while we all help each other and we work together. At the end of the day, like there's leaders for each part of the business. And obviously marketing and branding is my section. And then my brother really focuses on strategy and, new concepts and production. And then Max, my husband, is our CEO. So he focuses on everything. And then the winemaker is like a winemaker, but he's also like incredible in the sales in the field. We have a sales group of 7 people because we are a national now brand. So we're in 31 states and 8 countries. And so we have people kind of on the ground and running, and that takes a huge amount of management from my husband as well. So Roman, our winemaker, is kind of like all do a bit of everything. We all have our departments.
And then when like, yeah, because that's such an important part of like really making a business run, you know what I mean? And so to be able to do that with family and figuring out how to do it is like
Yeah.
beyond. And then, but you guys, when did you guys, I know I don't go out to the Hamptons all the time, but like you have events and you do things
Yeah.
there. Like when did you start doing that?
I think, we've always done weddings. That's always been a part of our business. And then events are kind of go in summer. People rent it out always for events. And then the wine stand was something that happened a couple of years before. My dad was able to see that, which is exciting. But I think a couple of years before he died, they started doing live music on Friday nights and Saturday nights. And
Mhm.
that's been really huge for our business. It's like probably the only place in the Hamptons you can go without a reservation.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of like, it's such an amazing group of people because it's such a mixed crowd and everybody is sort of on an equal playing field, sitting in the grass, drinking wine with their kids. It's really magical. And that's been a real like backbone of our brand, just that space, that's a sense of space, sense of place for Summer in a Bottle, but also for, the lifestyle of the Hamptons. Like, whereas, a lot of people have gone, the Hamptons is now only luxury, it's nightclubs, it's fancy restaurants. That's not how we see it, and that's not who we are. So we're
Mhm.
very true to that. And then, in terms of like marketing events, we've been working with a really great marketing team with Carfrey Consulting, and he's really helped us do like very smart marketing events with ourselves. We did a nice one with We Sweet last summer. We've done one with Rachel Zoe, like where, it's good marketing benefit for us, and we work with the brand. And then we have a lot of amazing paid events, of course, at the winery.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a gorgeous spot, that's for sure. Yes. But so when you're doing this and growing up, so how long have you been involved in it now?
It's 11 years for me.
Right.
Yeah.
So right before the summer in the
Yeah.
bottle. And then was your brother already a part of it, or did you guys all kind of?
No, so he was actually originally, when my dad died in 2008, it was really, it was like really like last kind of like quick. It was tragic. And so there was no planning. He was run over by a boat, and he just like had never done any of paperwork. He was just like, just divide everything I have by 4 to my kids. So that took a really long time. And it was 2008. You probably remember the financial crisis, which was huge. So we had a lot to deal with. I always say, like, that's when I started graying. I was 26. Like I was like, in the height of my career, sort of growing in my world. And so it definitely was wild time. My brother is from my father's first marriage, and he's 16 years older than me. So he was at a different point in his life and was definitely like, no, I'm taking over this winery. Like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy my sisters out. And I had some time to think about it. And I had like a little bit, it was funny. I had a little bit of a meltdown, and my husband and my mom said to me, like, we don't think you want to sell. We really think you should reconsider. And I ended up changing my mind and saying to him, like, would you mind if I did stay in? And I remember the moment we were like sitting on my mom's steps, and I said that to him, and he said, nothing would make me happier. And it was a really nice moment. And I try to go back to that whenever it's hard, because obviously business gets hard and relationships get hard. But either at the end of it, like we were, a really like tough time in our life, but like we came together and we built something really great with my husband and the winemaker and our incredible team.
So you had to learn a lot on the job, obviously. You all did. That is like, and then as a woman in wine and in a place where it's not like known to be like respected, it's like if you make wine, you're in Napa, and then like you're in the North
No,
Fork.
you're totally right. And actually, like New York has had its moment. Like as a wine region, it's actually really having an amazing moment. And Roman has been incredible with his push of drink local, and honestly, like the local restaurants are getting behind us, and it's kind of exciting to see. Everybody's always carried us, but there's some that sort of I don't know. And we're really doing this whole like a push to buy local, drink local for New York in general. And we're doing a lot this summer with New York City, in New York City as well. Partnerships that I can't actually say right now, but like good partnerships, and getting behind that. But I would say, like, as a personality, I am a fighter. Like when I first get difficult news or have to face something difficult, I kind of melt down for a minute. And then I'm like, I think it's the Aries in me. Like I'm a ram, like I just don't give up. And so I believe like I can do anything and we can do anything. And I think like that's what even in moments where like, oh, like, as any business, COVID was really good for us. And then obviously numbers fluctuated as COVID kind of became less real. And I shouldn't say less real. I should say like changed its form, and our lives changed. So I think we've been through so much, and like I think through every wave, like you have to really like dig deep to get through it. But you have to believe in yourself and your brand more than anyone else does. And that will translate.
Yeah. I mean, so you had some background like in marketing and PR and fashion. Is
Oh
that what
yeah.
you're
I mean,
doing?
I'm creative. Like that's
Yeah.
more like, I was a designer and I did trend, and like I would say navigating corporate America for the 6 years I did, or 5 years I did, was a huge lesson. And I honestly tell people that all the time, like get a job in the corporate world. I don't care what you do. If you don't know what you want to do, get a job in the corporate world. Learn to navigate those politics. Learn to navigate those people. I mean, I remember there was a girl in my office who hated me. She had decided that she hated me. I even went to sit at in our group for lunch one day, and she got up and left and went back to her desk. And I remember saying to her, like, why do you hate me so much? And she's like, she's like, I don't like your ego. I don't like your confidence. And that was my experience with women in the corporate world. That was very, except for like my boss, who was incredible. And honestly, like she's the only of all those businesses, she's the only one whose business, like it kind of all got bought off, and her business is still booming, and she's amazing. And she was so supportive and kind, but it was a really tough environment. I think that really prepared me just for the politics of working in office life and all of that. And then I'm creative and I'm entrepreneurial, and I have a good gut instinct for things and for consumers. That's always been my strong suit. And I think I'm not afraid to take risks. And I think I'm lucky to work with people who are also not allowed to afraid to take risks, because you will never come up with something exciting or new if you don't take a risk.
Yeah, I mean, you just said so much in that one, answer right there.
Sorry.
Let's go back a little
I'm
bit.
wordy.
You're talking about it before, like the woman that was like, I don't like your ego and your confidence.
Yeah.
It's like obviously it's like a jealousy thing, and so much. It's like women. It's been known like women have sharp elbows and
Yeah.
work, and but I'm so empathetic because we come about it honestly. There's only
Yeah.
usually one office there, right? And so if somebody comes with more confidence and more emotional
Right.
intelligence, or just belief in themselves, it can be intimidating, as a woman.
Well, I think I was really young. I was like 23 or 24. And as a 41-year-old, I can say all this like it was her problem. But as a 23-year-old, it was like just cold-hearted and mean and unnecessary,
Hmm.
But again, also a learning. And there's a path, and you have to respect that path when you enter any kind of world. Like you got to put your head down, you got to work hard. And I remember even a president of the handbag division at Nine West when I was there. I remember her like sitting with a team, the table behind my desk, like because I was at that time I'd moved into as a design director for jewelry, and she was sitting behind, and she was making fun of my outfit to the group at the table, and I was like, wow, like that is so nasty. And I like got up to make sure she saw me. She just dismissed me. And it was so like poignant. And of course, like in these times, you would never get away with that, right?
Yeah.
But I just
Well,
had to like,
hopefully.
I just had to eat it. I just had to eat it. But I do think like that made me tougher, and it made me a lot more, I have a lot more empathy, and I'm really kind. Like, unless you cross me the wrong way, I'm a kind person,
Right.
you
No,
know?
to self.
Yes.
But that is it. It's like these kind of groups, that help you, that you can rely on, and it's just for business stuff, that you and I are
Yeah.
both part of with the We Suite.
Yeah.
I have other ones too that I'm a part of. That's what's like so important, and helps like propel you forward, and helps get rid of these negative stereotypes about women and women working together and women in business, and also probably on your end now, having being a co-owner and being in rooms, and everybody looking at your husband or your brother versus you when you say something, or a question is asked.
Yeah. And I also am aware that women still have we have so much more to go, right? In feeling like equal in those rooms, right? I think it's just, I mean, if you go in the beverage world, you could sit in a room full of men trying to sell pink wine and just not understand why it's men run, like it's not
Yeah.
just product. You're sort of like, this is 85% females drink this. So like, why is it only a group of men that are pushing this? And we still have so much more to go as women, but I mean, I do feel like I still have to kick and scream, but I do feel like I've earned my place.
Yeah, no, definitely earned your place. It's just whether or not, yeah, it's like, if who's going to hear, like, are people hearing you? You know what I mean?
No, no, no.
What's that been like? What has that process been like? I mean, when I said that, like, been in meetings and men are talking to, your husband, but I mean, is that true? I'm just assuming. I'm making the assumptions.
Not so much because I'm pretty outspoken. You would like kind of
Yeah.
laugh in a room like that. I mean, I've called out groups like I was saying, like, why am I the only woman in this room? Like, what's wrong with this picture? I've
Yeah.
said that. I've said that in many meetings, actually. And I'm not afraid,
Yeah.
and if somebody's ignoring me, I'll say, like, you're ignoring me. Stop ignoring.
Yeah, but it's hard to speak up, especially when you're the only one, you know what I mean? It's sometimes
I'm
it's
not
it can be
afraid,
really
but I
hard.
look for women who are, because I think if I wasn't in my role and didn't have the confidence, and sometimes it's like fake confidence, I don't fight for myself. Like no one's gonna fight for me. That's what I
Yeah,
always.
so true. So you guys are like building this, right? And like, let's go back to like 2008 to 2010 when you have to take this over at a horrible, tragic time. Like, and you want to do a summer in the bottle, like you come up with this. It's like, you know,
Well, time period was actually when they were settling the estate, and I was still working in design, and I was starting my other business, which was my fashion truck business, which I started in 2010. And so that was like, it was a really like that time in my life, I really put my head down and worked hard because I was really like obviously down and very confused about my life. I mean, you
Mhm.
at 26, you're like, you think about boyfriends and you think about like your party plans. Like you don't think about anything else, right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, like, and to be honest, my stepbrother had died when I was 24, like tragically. So I had already like a little bit experienced this, like these crazy emotions. So it was a
Yeah.
little, that whole period of my life. Like I don't like really look back fondly because it was just a little bit survival, but I was also put like a lot into work, you know,
Mhm.
working hard. And I have to say, like meeting my husband, I met my husband May, like whatever, Memorial Day, 2008. And then my dad died December 31st, 2008. And
Mhm.
so he was kind of my savior. Like, I don't know if I would have been able to like go through all of it without having him by my side. And we started our relationship in tragedy. And I do think we can get through anything because we went through that period. You know, that's been
Mhm.
amazing backbone for us. And life has gotten a lot lighter since that period. I mean, I get emotional thinking about it because I don't even really like, you go through those periods and you don't know how you're ever going to ever be happy again,
Yeah.
And I am really proud and happy of where I am,
Yeah,
having
well, you guys have grown. I mean, 8 countries and, how many states did you say?
30,
Four. Yeah.
31. That's what I'm as a marketer and like our sales team, like as we're working on now is just like national growth because while the tri-state area, like you said, like, oh, everybody knows Wolfer, everybody knows Summer in a Bottle, but everybody does like, I just got
Yeah.
back from Round Top and they don't, and not everybody, like they're recognizing it now because it's in Whole Foods, it's in Central Market, it's in all the big stores there, but you still have to educate the customer on it. And you can't rely on the distributor to do that for you. That has to
Right.
come. So now like that's the next push. Like what kind of creative events like Round Top, which were really cool, really edgy, not a huge investment, but like great for the brand. And like, so that's like my task is sort of doing that in like, the big states that we're growing, which is Florida, California, and Texas.
And how big is your team now? You said you have like 7 salespeople. Are other people working in marketing and branding with you?
Yes, I have a team, a small team, but a mighty team. And then we have our PR consultants as well, which are PR and communications, which is Car Freight Consulting. And Malcolm and I work really nicely together. So that's been great.
And then, so when you're figuring out like these growth plans, and like you said, you were doing a lot of different things, and the main seller, right, in Wolfer, is it safe to say it's Rosé?
Yeah.
And so when you're doing that, are you doing like, other partnerships with other wineries in like Europe, or how are you,
Yeah.
thinking about those things?
Bottle has been able to grow because we found like an 11th generation family vineyard in Provence that we work with. And the man who is the owner now is wonderful. And he works really well with my brother and with Max and with Roman. And they have like really, I mean, I adore him. I just don't go over that. I don't do that part of the business. And they have all built like a really important relationship. And so we do not we make the wine ourselves with him. Like Roman makes it and Mark does the blend. They do the blend with him. And so that has given us a huge opportunity to grow because for a long time we were just selling out because we had a limited amount of grapes in New York to work with.
Yeah.
Now we're doing that. And then we have Argentina as well, which is sort of a lower end wine, but it's a delicious Finca Rosé, which is a hit as well. And then we're making the sparkling rosé in Germany. And because we found a manufacturer that they make the wine first, but they make a really good wine and then they remove the alcohol. So it's an amazing process. So the wine actually tastes like wine
Oh,
rather
it's
than,
it's a non-alcoholic, it's a sparkling. Yeah.
so, it sounds like we're like a New York brand with like lots of production all over the world. But I will say like in a world where we don't know if it's going to be 60 degrees or 90 degrees, and we don't know if we're going to be monsoons, you kind of have to diversify. It's a form of sustainability, is by making product in different countries and then obviously making it with your way, with your passion, with your ingredients, with the whole thing, and having your spin on it. But I feel like diversifying our production has been really good for us
No, I
because
think it's great too, because, people who are rosé snobs are like Provence, and you're like, well, guess what?
our growth, that has been really important because you're not gonna be able to sell a New York rosé. Whereas you have a Provençal rosé in Texas, they're like, of course, but I love dry rosé, so
Yeah.
they immediately And then they love the bottle, so it's like a whole
Oh, it's
thing.
beautiful. Yes.
Thank you. I love it.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And so what about like future plans and doing this? Like how you guys have grown, like how much have you grown since you guys have taken over? Like
Started with 25,000 cases and total we're at 300,000 with the cider as well.
that's insane.
It's great. No, it's really great. And we're still a boutique winery. I mean, we
Yeah.
can't with Miraval and Whispering Angel, but like we do compete, within the store, they buy our wine. And in terms of like quantity, like we are still so small, but
Mhm.
it's special. And we want to keep growing. We want to keep innovating. We want to keep fresh. I love working. I never want to not work. And this is a business that's in our family. We're first generation. I'm first generation American. So for me, this is like an amazing legacy as well. Of course, I can do anything, but I do like working for myself and while I struggle sometimes with family dynamics, I'm also like, it's also a gift.
Yeah, but you already know corporate dynamics. You had those 5 years. So you know what the alternative is, right? Some people are totally meant for that. Like I am not. Like I'm
And my
virtually unemployable.
boss said that to me when I was quitting. She was like, I would love to keep you. She's like, but you need to shine and you need to get out of here. Like I support you, and then
Yeah.
on its first year when I started my fashion truck business, she hired me as a consultant. I did trend consulting for a whole year, just, which was so nice.
And what about the fashion truck business? What happened with that?
So I ended up eventually being pregnant, like any process of life. And I thought like, I had broken down on the side of the road in Boston at like 3 a.m. pregnant. I didn't know I was pregnant at the time. But when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, I can't like sustain this,
Yeah.
as well. It's all too much for me, at that point. And it was like, if you think about how many things I just piled on, it was just too much. So I kept the truck for like events and for the winery. And then I opened like a brick and mortar store. And then I opened a couple brick and mortar stores, but now I have one and I do events because rents are so insane now.
Yeah.
It's too much. So my Sag
So it
Harbor
still kind of exists. It's like a little kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah.
is, and I talked to this about my husband a lot. It keeps me really creative and it keeps me like looking at other things but wine. And so
Mhm.
that's important. I think a lot of people in their businesses, if they're focused on one product or one category, they only think about that category and then you never have fresh ideas or fresh
Mhm.
tips. And I have such an I would say one of my best skills is networking and connecting. I think I get a lot of that because of my ties to both industries.
Yeah, no, it does. You got to step out of it. That's why another reason why getting in these groups like We Suite, et cetera, like you'll meet people in all different industries as well.
I'm
So
doing
I
more
totally agree.
other now too. I've gotten involved in other. I'm on the board of the Parish Art Museum. Along with a couple of friends, run a mom demand action group in the Hamptons. I'm on the board of a Bridgehampton Center, which is a community center focused on child daycare. Which because there's no affordable daycare in the Hamptons when there's all these people who aren't able to go to work. Because it's the daycare. So I'm involved in so much, and I think like being involved in community is so important to me and also just keeping like in different worlds and not getting so just in my own world.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially like when summer hits, right? It's just like,
I'm not prepared. It's already starting.
it's already starting. It doesn't feel like it in New York right now, but yes.
So it's more just like the emails, have already
Yeah.
started. Yeah.
So what about the growth? Like where do you guys, I mean, you obviously more than 10x it. Like what do you see going that, in the
I really
future?
want to keep growing the category of, I think I want to, keep growing summer in a bottle. We have a new product that we're coming out with this summer that I can't tell you about, but you'll see it soon. And then I want to grow, and then cider, our cider is still a good growth opportunity. We still like, we're obviously big in New York and New Jersey and Connecticut and like those areas. But and while we are in all these states, we have still so much potential for those states. So we just have to keep at it, keep
Yeah.
selling
Can
at
you
it.
compete in a place like California with Napa?
With rosé, you can, because the
Yeah.
rosé just aren't good.
Yeah.
I mean, we sell like berries there, which is hilarious because it's like one of the bigger wine shops. And we sell like in the middle of Napa, we have huge rosé stacks. So
Amazing.
yeah, it's great. It's great. Not a product that they do well. And I think it's good to know your region and know what you do well.
Yeah.
So they're really good at that. They're sophisticated at that.
That's true too. They don't, I mean, the whole thing is about quality, but still, I mean, you're kind of like, you're the thing in the Hamptons, and so it's like, and it's
Yeah,
amazing.
well, we'd like to be, we would like to keep growing in each state, but keep that boutique feeling so that people still feel passion toward the brand. Because I think you'd find that women really are passionate about the brand.
Yeah, for sure. And so what other countries are you in?
We are in Germany, sorry, Sweden. I'm like gonna have like a moment here. Switzerland. I want to say Norway, which is totally weird, but I'm gonna have to get back to you on all these
No,
details.
no,
But
no, no, you don't know.
I don't have it all. I don't
I think it's fascinating that you would be at like that you're
Yeah,
in
no,
other countries too
Belgium,
with us.
Belgium is great. Belgium has been really great for us. Belgium and Switzerland have been really good. I think people love the product, It's not like it's also not like a product that you're like, oh, it's so pretty and then tastes like shit. Like it's so pretty and it tastes great,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think if you have both of those, and we have like authentic marketing. I mean, that's what I'm always pushing, authentic marketing. We don't pay for followers, we don't pay influencers.
Right.
We want, of course, like we do gifting, but like it's only people who want it.
Yeah, the organic growth of it is amazing. So along this way and being like the only woman in the top here, what are the things that you think that you did right in being able to like set yourself apart in Wolfar in general?
I think it's like, first of all, it's not me, it's a whole team of amazing people who work on this brand. And also just like having, I feel like in my department in marketing and the branding side, like I have a lot of support too. I feel really lucky that I don't really butt heads with anybody with some of my crazier ideas. And okay, fail, which is also okay. But I think, as a team, we've all like, and I actually like, I commend Roman so much because 32 years working in a company and to have that much passion that he still has is pretty.
Hmm.
And then my brother, he comes in with a real international skill set and vision, and that has been really great for us. And then my husband is like unreal at his job. He's an amazing leader and he's amazing at keeping everybody sort of working together and being rational and focused, eye on the prize. So I think it's like, it's definitely a team, the right team, of course, hit obstacles. And we have, of course, like it's not always perfect, but I think we've built a really good group of people who are on our team and work together in a
Hmm.
hard area to hire in. And we've managed to keep the brand fresh over and over. And nobody gets tired of us. You know how people like they get tired?
Yeah,
I don't think they tire of us, yet. Or
that's a
maybe,
good, that's, yeah.
yeah. But we do it really
Testament.
like we're not inauthentic. We're always like anything we do is authentic. I'm like all of us show up. So it's not like you're like sending representatives to your brand around. Like you should,
Right.
you know. And okay, that's harder for growth, but that's the only way you do grow too.
Right, right. Authentically, yeah. Instead of just like throwing a bunch of money at it and like putting it in, because that's what some people have done, especially in the liquor and the wine business. It's like
Yep.
just get a bunch of money, throw it at the distributors,
Get us
get,
move on. It doesn't
yeah,
work.
right,
People don't want that.
right. But I mean, isn't that because of you though, really?
I mean, I know, I don't know, nothing is because of one person. I think it's always team. I think I am a good representative of the brand. I think, it definitely helps that I'm female. It definitely helps that I'm a good marketer. And I feel like I embody summer in a bottle in a good way. Uh, I'm happy and a little bit and bohemian and free spirited and, raising a young family. So like, I think it fits well. I think it's like everything as a team. I don't have ego on that. Nothing is possible without all the people that help make it happen.
No, it's good, but my point being like you have a lot to do with this. You know what I mean? You have
So
a lot to do with it. Your name is out there. It's like,
put myself out there and it's not always my dream because like truthfully, like I think and you are gonna laugh at me and most people laugh at me, but I'm probably like an introverted extrovert. Like I'm like a go, 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 and then I like collapse. And
yeah.
so this is like my hibernation period, usually this Wellington time, because but I've been traveling quite a bit this winter just because we want to get out there. But I don't know. I think it's something I can safely say, like, there's nobody that doesn't keep it going, the
Yeah.
business. But from a standpoint of like being out there and putting myself there, I do put myself out there a lot.
Yeah.
And I, you know,
and did it from like nothing, you know what I mean? From the beginning. It's like in such a like sad kind of place. So it's such an amazing story.
The
Yeah.
sad places, but I do think like it's a weird, and I probably like shouldn't be saying this on like a podcast, but I, if my dad hadn't died, right? If it hadn't happened that way, by the way, he was a huge, bigger than life person. Like he would have aged terribly. But beyond that, like, what would my life be like? Would I be like working in a corporate company, just like going on and
Mhm.
on and on and on, and maybe the CEO, maybe the CMO, like, would that have made me happy? Like, I'm really happy. I work really hard, but I like get to spend a lot of time with my family, and I ride horses, which is like the love of my life at a competitive level. Like I have like it's allowed me for a life I don't think I would have had. So,
Yeah.
with every sad thing that happens, an opportunity comes for sure.
I love that. That's such an amazing, and again, and that's like, back to what you were said, like everything you knew is from your gut and authentic, and that's always the moral of a story and all my interviews on taking care of lady business.
Well, I
It's
think it's scary to trust your gut, but if you're doing things like this, like you have to trust your gut.
yeah,
Otherwise, you should just go work for somebody else,
it's true.
honestly.
Yeah. All right. So I know we have to let you go, and I want to get you back to your passion of horse riding because that's where you are.
Get a mammogram, to be honest. Like
Oh, okay. Well, for that.
everybody, but yeah, I am diligent about that stuff.
Good for you. Me too. But I do always ask one question consistently, and that is, what's the worst advice you've ever received?
Oh, like I'm not going to say a name. I wish I could. There are two very important men in fashion who both sat me down to tell me I had a 1 in a million chance of ever being successful in life, and that I should either consider working for them or use my idea and put their brand on it. Both of those said them. And I am so happy that I didn't listen to them. And I just went forward with my own gut.
Oh my God, it's like so infuriating when I hear those kinds of things, especially because I was just telling Joey before this interview how I was at the historical museum with my daughter, and we were learning about this woman, Clara Driscoll, who basically built all the Tiffany lamps, and then they put Tiffany's name on it. But yeah, that we didn't know about. So yes, I'm so glad you didn't take that path. Most of us, like 85% of women who drink rosé, the rosé drinkers, we we are glad you didn't do it either. Thank you so much for this.
Such a great chat. Thank you.
So tell us, where can we find Summer in a Bottle?
You can buy it on our website, of course, and then you can buy it at many amazing stores in New York. Whole Foods is an amazing supporter of ours. Total Wine is amazing supporter of ours. ABC Liquors. There's great shops, local shops, all of your local shops in New York. You can go on our website and find all the good ones.
And you have Instagram too, right?
Oh yeah, Wolfer Wine, and then I'm just Joey Wolfer.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being on this. And thank you to everyone listening to this episode of Taking Care of Lady Business. Until next time, I'm Jennifer Justice.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com.